Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Temelkov.
Welcome everyone on the 23rd edition of The Leaders Who Care. Today is like another very special episode. I have an awesome guest today, a marathon runner, a leader who cares, and an honest and extraordinary human being that I've known for a number of years. Denis Coupé. Thank you for joining today. And before I hand you over the microphone, I wanted to, well, not literally, but pass you on. I want to wish today's, actually the 3rd of March is the National Liberation Day of Bulgaria. I want to wish all Bulgarians a happy 3rd of March. And what a privilege and kind of great to celebrate this day. So, Denis, where are you joining us from?
So I'm joining you from the mountains in the Alps, where I am benefiting from a great high-speed connection. Sometimes working remote is a good way of taking a step back on the daily business duties and experiencing outdoor and a bit of oxygen also at the same time. Thanks for inviting me, Marian, and happy to be with you today.
Great. Well, Denis, I've known you for many years, but the audience hasn't. Can you share a brief introduction about who is Denis and a little bit about your journey? Because how did you arrive to where you are? I mean, you're leading as a chief technology officer, one of the most disruptive companies. I want to hear more about GreenStruxure in a minute, but we want to hear your journey. And obviously, I know it's a long one.
Yeah, but it's a long one, so I will make a long story short. I graduated as an engineer, but I've always been very driven by transformations and making a difference. So my career started with management, the roots of the Schneider Electric Group a couple of years back, couple of decades back actually. And then I had the chance to also work in the automotive industry, and then 5 years in HP in the IT world, where I gained a bit of exposure to the American culture. Still based in the Alps in Grenoble, where we had the worldwide headquarters for the PC business of HP at that time. And I've always been in transformation duties, transforming supply chain, transforming procurement, transforming the way that HP was sourcing the components for the PCs. And then I got the opportunity to join a fresh company, which was a spin-off of Schneider. My relation with Schneider has always been very close. And I was in the UPS business of Schneider for about 10 years until Schneider acquired APC. In USA, where I looked after the integration of APC, MG, UPS, and Schneider together to create a very, very large business. And I moved then back to the roots of my career, which were the circuit breakers world in Schneider, where I was given the chance to lead a very large business, a line of business, where we were looking after anything around strategy, development, marketing, for a very large range of products, which is one of the leading ranges in the world with a huge market share and insane profit margins. So after all of that, I had more or less done everything you can do in a large corporation. I've been in very, very big organizations. I've driven large teams, and I had the opportunity to be at the core of an innovation, and I will call that an experience, because it was an incubation. Schneider has created a vehicle to develop innovation at the edge of Schneider Electric to verify whether a business idea, an innovative technology can bring a difference and can be adopted by the market. So we worked together with a couple of colleagues as an incubation team and verified and proved that there was a business purpose for that innovation. And this is the way we created the GreenStruxure around 7 months back with the support of Schneider and financial investors. So it's a big step from very big organizations to today a startup that is backed by large organizations. So we are at the corner of innovation, disruption in business models, technology, and financial engineering.
Amazing, Denis. What does it take really to lead? And I know you're very passionate about technologies, and you are really leading that as a CTO, that one of the most disruptive companies in the field of sustainability, and actually. So what attracted you, first of all, to GreenStruxure, to that mission, and first, even though it's a startup and backed by one of the most successful, actually the most sustainable company in the world officially, Schneider Electric?
Well, when you're in your 50s, you have the opportunity to make a difference and to leverage your experience to create something from scratch, because we are actually developing a business which is completely emerging. It's a complete disruption compared to the legacy businesses where companies sell products for clients to use them. We are intending to sell services and to completely change the way the people or the industrial consume energy, produce and consume energy. And what it took is the fact that we had the opportunity to capitalize on our knowledge in technology and to make that technology available to a purpose, that purpose being the energy transition. We strongly believe at GreenStruxure that there is a different way to produce energy and to consume energy. And this is the reason why we combined our technology knowledge and our experience to serve that purpose.
And how, if you think about it, this is really what a great, really a novel and a great, it's a very tough problem to solve in many ways. But how is care, connected to, with sustainability and consumption?
Well, this is a good question. It's all about the way we want to leave the planet we are living on behind us. I think that we are gaining awareness every day about the limitations of our consumption models, the limitations of the grid power, which is very carbonized, differently according to the countries, but there are places where it is still very carbonized. And at a point in time, you say, well, should I be just reproducing what I've been, the world I have been going in, or is there a chance that I can give based on what I know and what I've learned from others, whether I can make a change on the industry? And we think that there is something to play here. It's about caring for our kids and the kids of our colleagues and the people who are going to come after us.
What you're talking about is how to build wealth for generations in that way, and it's not just about us today, but what about paving the way? And I know the world has many problems, but it's a living organism. But I think,
Marian, it's two options. Either you say that it's too late, and anyway we won't change anything because global warming, because all of these big negative communications and all of that. And anyway, what should we do for that? And we can keep on consuming the same energy as yesterday, using plastic everywhere, and not caring about the planet we live on. Or we say, okay, I have a small contribution to do to that, and let's try it. I don't know if it's going to make a radical change. I don't know if my little contribution is going to be that big that it would make a change, but I'll try it, and I cannot just let the chance go that I make a difference.
What do you think? I mean, from your perspective, Denis, and you've seen, and you kind of leading that such a great mission, a purpose-driven company. But what about for the individuals around the world? What do you think each individual can do on their daily basis to reduce the carbon footprint?
Well, there are basic things. I think we all know what needs to be done. It's just a question of making it happen. I was mentioning plastic bottles. It's also the way we use electricity, the way we consume fuel, probably the way we were consuming, using our cars 10 years, 20 years ago is not the same as today. The way we were managing our garbage is different. So I think there is an awareness today, and thanks to the science and the technology and the communication that is made around that, which is just changing. And when I look at the generations after us, I'm full of hope that the people behind us are going to be to care more about the planet than we do ourselves, than we did ourselves.
You're a great believer in technology, and that's why you're obviously leading in technology, but not just for the sake of technology. I think you of course you see technology as a great tool to solve a lot of those problems and challenges we face.
Yes, technology can make a difference. Technology for technology is, to me, useless. Technology, when it is applied to making a change and making an impact, then it is becoming interesting. And to me, technology is driving us towards a lot of improvements in the way we live. We just have to observe the way we live through the crisis and the pandemic today. Without the technology, without being together connected on a webcast today, I mean, without technology, we would not have all of this. Without technology, older people would not be connected with their grandchildren. Or without technology, I would not be hiring people in the US. Whereas, just for the sake of fun, last time I flew a plane was about a year ago, flying back from Boston, and I was not imagining what would happen. But nevertheless, we've kept on hiring, we've kept on working. We raised capital in the middle of the pandemic thanks to technology. And if we look at the technology is delivering to us as capabilities, it's just amazing.
You're absolutely right, in fact. And, often, in crisis, people may kind of focus on what they don't have versus what they have in that aspect. But I can see that the technology makes a huge difference. And what do you think? What is your advice to leaders today, especially in that? What are the struggles they face, do you think, from your perspective? And what is your advice to kind of prepare and come out of this crisis?
Well, I think the crisis is teaching us something very clear. We cannot keep on doing things the same way as we were doing them the day before or the year before. And if we try to reproduce the way we've always been working or the way we've done things in the past, we will fail. And the crisis is teaching us that actually we need to reinvent ourselves every day, and we should be afraid of not changing. And to me, change is a fantastic opportunity. Change is the only option in the context, and there are things that we need to ground that change upon. But the change is the only way. We cannot survive if we don't change. And I believe that today the people who are in the most difficult situation are the people who do not embrace change with hope. And this is my belief. We need to see change as an opportunity. And whatever, and we were talking of technology and the pandemic. I know that the pandemic has put many people and corporations in big trouble, personally, professionally, and so on. But on the other hand, when you look at the speed and the acceleration that the technology gained and the digitization gained thanks to the pandemic, it's just unbelievable. Let's look at the positive side things, because we cannot just look at the negatives. If we look at the negatives, we're gonna go nowhere.
And also, maybe the fact that the planet needed to take a break from from kind of all this pollution in that sense. We're seeing some, from environment, clean air point of view, and maybe that slowed down a little bit more the global warming, and maybe saved us from a much bigger crisis later on. We don't know. There's many things that could have worked out for the best. And you're absolutely right. It helped us a lot to start, and also gives us a bit more time to self-reflect as well, and say, hey, what is the life we want to live, and appreciate more of what we have.
Yes, I think there are things we cannot fight against. None of us can do anything about having the virus and the pandemic and the COVID. COVID is here. We cannot deny it. And I mean, we have no influence on the situation in which we are today. The only thing is that we need to manage what we have an influence on, and we should not try to control what is uncontrollable, and we should focus our energy on what is controllable so that we make a difference. And by using our energy trying to change things which we cannot change, we are losing our energy that could be profitable for something much better.
Absolutely. And Denis, since you lead, obviously, and you've been great in, as you mentioned, attracting, building an organization in the midst of pandemic, you're one of those, let's say, successful, great success cases, if you like, during the pandemic time. And I know you were able to do some exceptional things, attracting great talent and also building a team. Tell us, how do you do that? What was your kind of recipe to that success, and how does it work for you?
Well, beyond the support that you gave me, Marian, in some cases, I think that the core of all of that is authenticity and trying to find a match with people on the purpose that they're working for. And it's not a question of finding competent people, because there are plenty of competent people, but you need to find competent people with the right knowledge, but also with the right drive and purpose-driven in the same direction. Otherwise, you're trying to make things work which have no chance to work.
And then, if I may, because obviously I had a chance to see you in different situations, and you have also another number of great qualities, but one of them is you're candid. You always, when something wasn't right, you always would share it, and I greatly appreciated that. That's been like gold for us, but also for the candidates, and I'm sure I hope is also well received, and the same for any organization you support or supply as well, because I know sometimes the truth may be painful, but I believe everybody should have a person like you in their life, to tell them where they stand, regardless of, they should have a Denis in their life, in the sense of telling them, hey, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is why, but, in a kind of a really quite open and honest way.
Well, thanks for the kind words. I think to be candid and to be saying things the way we see them is just a basic rule of communication and relationship to others. If you start lying to people, if you start keeping things for yourself, not sharing your emotions, not sharing your perception, good or bad, on the way you interact with others, then it's you are kind of fooling people, and as soon as you fool people, they won't trust you. So my way of being is very easy. I had some managers in the past who said, well, with Denis, you know what you get and you know what you don't get. But the predictability is one of my driving forces, because I mean, people know, and when I've got something to say, I say it, and when I don't say anything, it's because I don't have to say anything. Sometimes I say too much, but that's because of the passion. But the feedback is a feedback. The feedback is a gift, good or bad. And I always, I'm trying to be very transparent, honest, candid, as you say it, with people, so that they understand how to interact with me. I'm actually giving them a couple of keys to work with me, and it's also something that is important. If you just keep on hiding yourself, hiding yourself, and not sharing the way you are, you're not giving the right keys for the people to work with you. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want any obstacle in between the people and me when it comes to working and living together.
I'm sure you had a number of difficult situations as well with being candid and open. And tell us was there a moment when your care, because for me that's a form of care, being honest and transparent and being candid was kind of put to the test. Tell us really a situation where, kind of shaped you, and helped you out, but it was a very difficult one for you to overcome.
Well, sometimes, yes, I remember very precise moments where I was actually not sharing my feelings and so on. And all of a sudden, I don't know why, on that one particular day, I said, well, why should I keep that for me? And that was in a group of people where I was much younger than today, but I was saying to myself, is my opinion less valuable than the opinion of all of these people who are talking, and they don't know what they're talking about? And you say, well, it's about self-confidence and caring about the impact you can do with your own opinion. And if you can share something that people don't have a clue about, it's also an opportunity to make a group improve. And my view on that is very simple. If you don't share your views with the people around you, you just keep for yourself a chance for the group to improve. So yes, it's important that also you get connected to the people, and you decode also the other's emotions. So if you don't pay any attention to the people around you and the way they're expressing things and the way they can share or not share or refrain or try to hide their emotions, it's also giving you a lot of information about the people that you're interacting with. And sometimes it's very valuable in the reactions you can have with the people. So
this is very interesting, because I'm if you give a lot of, as you mentioned, there's a lot of change happening very fast, and especially with Generation Z upcoming, and I think more and more you're seeing that it's not enough just to be a good brand to attract talent, but also retain them. You need a lot more. They don't want to be just employed. They want to contribute, co-create. They look at the leader they follow. They look at the team. They look at the purpose and the scale of it. So there's a number of things that are coming into play here whenever you really kind of attract those talent. And Denis, coming back to kind of your advice to those up and coming leaders or future generation, that's great to be able to share your opinion in a group. Of course, probably in a respectful way, we need to do that and advise.
Constructive and respectful always.
Of course, but that's a great advice. What else would you, kind of advise them to do?
To leave preconceived ideas away. We were talking of recruitment and attracting talents. I love going to meeting the younger generation, the people who are in the engineer school, in the business school, to understand their motivation, their rationales, understand what they are looking for as an employer, because the companies that hired us a couple of decades back are not the companies that they want to work with. And we need to understand the difference in between recruiting an engineer fresh out of school 20 years back and what it means today. It's absolutely not the same situation. And what the younger generation is looking for, if we do not, as leaders, pay sufficient attention to the inner motivation of the new generation, and I'm talking of purpose, working for work-life balance. We were hired for pressure, personal investment, money, shine, brand image, and so on. Today, the people that are out of schools, they are looking for balance, they are looking for purpose, they are looking for understanding of their contribution, they are looking for care, and this is a completely different way of sourcing the candidates and the leaders that will take over after us.
Amazing,
like an old guy, but
no, we have a question here, and Stan, thank you for sharing this. But he wanted to ask you, what are the top 3 leadership lessons that you would share, to the younger version of yourself that is just starting their career?
Well, the number 1 value is consistency. And not trying to be anybody else than whoever you are, and you are who you are. And as soon as you start cheating with others and cheating with yourself at the same time, this is compromising the opportunity of people appreciating you for who you are. And sometimes you may not be appreciated by everybody because people may not always like who you are, but at least you know who you are, and you need to keep strong on that. Then sharing and motivating people, giving sense and purpose to what they do in a team. And I would say the third thing is creating a context for the people to be at their best. To me, there is a major leadership pattern, which is to provide to the people a certain environment. I'm not saying of comfort, but to feel protected and to feel understood and to be put in the best context to succeed. It's not a question of having a leader who knows at least as well as anybody in his team how to do things. And I can tell you, as a CTO today, I cannot pretend, and I do not want to pretend, that I know technology like anybody in my team would be knowing technology, each of them in his own field. But we need to detect the people who have that knowledge and put them in the right context. So if people have personal constraints that they need to work around, if we just ignore them, they will not contribute as much. So to me, I feel myself as a manager in the situation of a coach who needs to put talents in the best position on the playfield so that they contribute to the success of the team. It's not a question of getting into the field and scoring all of the goals myself. It's making sure that each of them has a contribution, as the right understanding of his contribution to the success of his team, and feel comfortable. So any bad thought, any constraint on a personal contribution should be removed. And if people need to take a nap at the beginning of the afternoon because that's the way they are, they need to take their nap, because they will be far more productive after their nap than if they are not taking it, even if again, some years back, that kind of practice was not good. But if today there are people who feel better after, and they will contribute more. So, I mean, I'm taking the nap as an example. People feel like going running. You mentioned running at the beginning of this discussion, but each of us has his own personal rituals to feel better. And these rituals are to be understood and accepted by the environment in which you work. And so to me, these are the three directions I would propose.
Amazing. And when you talk about rituals and obviously care, and what are your rituals? What are the things that keep you active, productive, at your best? Because I have seen you, Denis. You have been put into extraordinary situations and long, hours and very tough moments. And maybe the fact that you're a marathon runner has helped you because you can run for a long time. But yeah, what works for you?
Well, I have, I worked in the as a leader in the circuit breaker industry. The circuit breaker is here to protect your circuits, and you reclose the circuits when the temperature has cooled down. So I'm having my own circuit breakers. I go running sometimes on a weekend. I need to switch off because I need to just think of completely different things. Care about my family, have the right balance, and be together with friends without being that much engaged as I can be in the week on long days. But sometimes I may take a break, go running, or just at the moment you would not believe. But these are my rituals. I try to keep exercising on a regular basis because so I put myself high level of targets. On a say outdoor exercising standpoint, and that drives me to consistency and application in training, because sometimes when it's dark and raining, you don't feel like going out running, but when you have targets, you go, and at the end you're happy that you went. It's all about resilience and endurance, and also consistency in execution of these rituals.
I love what you said here, and of course the metaphor, of having your own circuit breakers is wonderful. Not every leader is blessed to have worked in a circuit breaker kind of environment in that sense, and that's why I want to ask you, what would be your, what kind of support do you think the leaders most need today? Because they care for so many in that sense, and we talk about individuals and people in our teams, but what about when you are in a position of leading and that kind of responsibility? What do you think they can do to be at their optimal?
Well, as we discussed earlier, it's a question of being able to change paradigm and to embrace new ways of working, and to accept that what was working yesterday is not working today, and you need to reinvent something every day if you insist in trying to make things work that have no chance to work. So it's really change adoption and being a change believer, and also not trying to change things that cannot be changed. I've got a principle in life that I learned a long time ago. I'm going to tell a small story here. I was in India, in a very large city in India. I was in a taxi. We had a dinner with the team, and we were in a big traffic jam, and the traffic jam was making us very, very late for dinner. And I was getting completely mad at that, and saying, well, we should be there already, and so on. And the guy in my team who was with me in the taxi was saying, well, Denis, you should worry for what you can control. So I keep that very, very deep in me. I worry for what I can control, and I don't lose my energy trying to control what I cannot control. So what I cannot control is something I need to deal with, but I keep my energy for what I can control, and I accept the rest as something that is out of my change potential or change capabilities. So this enables me to be much more energized on things that I believe I can make an impact on, and accept. And there are things that we need to accept, and even if you don't like them, you need to accept. I mean, like I was saying about the pandemic, we need to accept it, and we are not going to control it. And very often I'm having these discussions. My kids also have that way of seeing things now. They care about what they can control. and the rest is the rest.
And I love what you just said earlier about leaders, and you also mentioned about environment, creating environment they feel safe, and really kind of how they can, really, because if they kind of care for their team, their team will care for themselves, for the leader as well. It's like, it's creating that place and environment.
The risk is that you would believe naively that people have the same motivations as you. So I can ask somebody to go running with me because I love it and because I can run hours, but that's not because I love it and I can run hours that people would love it running hours with me. So when I feel a context is something that I like or something that I feel good in, it's not because I am good in that context that everybody will be good in the same context. So we need to find, to create an environment where people feel comfortable, but their environment, their area, their zone of performance, instead of trying to impose your own zone of performance to people who have a different zone of performance. So to me, one of the big differences is to be able to read and decode where each person in a team has his own performance area and of performance environment, and do everything so that without compromising the balance of the team, everybody is in his own zone.
Denis, doesn't that start with school? Because at school we are kind of thought quite generically, and then unless you're in some very special school where it's tailored towards your needs and perhaps talents, which is what are your thoughts? Do you think that we have roots in the way we've been learning, perhaps?
Yes, probably, but to me the difference is not in what we learn at school. What we learn at school is the base for what we become. It gives more an indication of what you're leaning towards, whether you're more business or technical or individual or managerial. So that is a pattern which is revealed by school, but what makes a difference is what you do beyond school, to me, because we all get this more or less a package at school, and then people are going to do something with it. And by the way, when looking for talents, to me, maybe the university background is something interesting, but this is not what I'm focusing on. What I'm focusing on is what the people have as beliefs, what the people have as interests, and sometimes a higher education may not be person may not be as good as somebody else just because of the center of interest and the balance. Taking somebody who has done sports to high level of competition and so on, usually people are more balanced. So what I'm really looking at in talents is the balance more than the package that they received at school, because school is pre-formatting us all in a given it's delivering us a given package, nothing more.
Well, thank you for sharing those insights, because these are essentials. And how do you retain? And really, and we have a great question here again for Stan. It's very interested here, and I wanted to say many people are struggling today due to prolonged lockdown, working from home, global COVID crisis. How do we change the way we lead people and address these new challenges appropriately? Which comes down to, I guess, it's a very critical way of leading them if you want to retain and unlock their performance in a way.
There's one fundamental change again here. You're not going to be together with the people in an office to look over their shoulder and check that they're working or not working, even if the tools that we've got today let you see if you're connected or not. But when people are at home, they're at home. So we need to trust them. So you need to create an environment where you're not starting checking that people work, but you create a context where you have the deliverable more than the visibility on how the people are doing. And then you create regular connection points. And by the way, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years back, having that kind of pandemic without the technology that we have today would have been very, very difficult, much more difficult to handle than today. But the managerial habits, it can be rituals. I've got people which in my team, which I see on the web, on Teams meetings on a daily basis for 15, 30 minutes each. But not all of them, because not all of them like working like this. So it's more on demand, but we need to be very adaptive. But the first prerequisite for all of this is to trust that the people are at home working. And I think that if we start with this assumption, then things can go well. But then we should also read the low signal, and when people are at home, sometimes they may feel not that comfortable with the lack of social connections and so on, and through Teams meeting, through the video. I keep on one ritual. I always switch my camera on when we are in Teams meeting. It's just to make sure that the people have a visual contact. Otherwise, there are a lot of things in the body language, in the reading of the people that you miss.
No, thank you for sharing this, Denis. And in terms of really, you've done a lot, you've seen a lot, Denis, and you're embraced on a great mission. But what excites you at this moment in time? What gives you that energy and motivation today?
Simply transform things for the better of what we're doing. I am not the kind of guy to take a situation which is close to perfect and bring it to perfection, because I need to find my motivation in profound transformations, and if we can use what we learned after 30 years career, when you can start leveraging what you've learned, making it available for a given purpose, and to create something that is going to survive you when we retire. This is the purpose I'm looking for today. So this is the reason why you make your mind when that kind of opportunity is ahead. Changing from a large organization, comfortable end of career, to a venture, and the level of pressure that we can have in a startup, it's fantastic. So motivation is in the transformation. Motivation is in the creation and in the build-up of something which has not been done yet, and that on top of it can make me leave something behind.
Do things you've never done before, but also impacting positively the world and behind you.
Yeah, that's what I mean with leave something behind me. Making an impact, yes.
Great. And Denis, we're looking at the future, because this is in many ways you like looking backwards, but also looking forward. What do you think we can do to really spread the care culture?
It's a learning. It's trying it a couple of times, testing it with people that you feel are more likely to play the game and open a bit. When you give keys to others, you expect others to give keys to you. So that is, you cannot declare that overnight. You cannot decide that tomorrow you're going to care about people because you heard it on a podcast. So you need to realize by yourself that it is something that works, and if you're not spontaneously, natively inclined to doing it naturally, then you test it with a couple of people that you believe are sufficiently close to you to try things and do some experiments, because experimenting is learning, and if you're learning, you're improving.
Amazing. Well, that absolutely, and you might like it. And actually, we had a great guest and said, what, the biggest benefit for the person who cares is actually the one who cares.
To me, it's very valuable to see people around me gaining from the relationship we have. And when I have people that I worked with 10, 20 years ago that give me a call or send me a text message saying, I was in a situation I would have loved you to be with me because you would have been proud of me because I was thinking about how you would have handled that situation yourself. And you inspired me today. And we've not met for 20 years. And I got that from time to time, or people who say, one day you unleashed me in doing something. And today I'm doing this because you unlocked something in me. Well, I get that kind of message, and I'm feeling grateful for that.
How do you Denis, how do you achieve that? It's one thing attracting, and then you said you're genuinely interested in people, and you kind of really go deep and find purpose, conviction. You're very curious, and you look for that. But how do you develop others? Because that, to me, is an example of profound care, where you actually spend the time to share and help someone learn how to deal with situations, rather than just telling them how to deal with it.
Well, it all starts with curiosity and interest in others, to understand what is their motivation, what are their ways of doing things. So this comes, this is the prerequisite, and then you need to understand the patterns of performance of the people, and really drive them towards what they're good at doing. And if you find that acceleration path towards performance, and each of us has a different path to performance. The problem is that sometimes we need to push people towards directions that are not their performance path. So what I believe is that if you are curious enough, if you start decoding the people and understand what is going to make them perform, then it's easier for you as a manager or as a leader or as a teammate to put them in a context where they are going to perform and develop, because when you perform, you develop. So it's a question of not trying to force people in paths and ways and practices which are not theirs, but really finding the best way for the people to develop based on the way they are themselves, not the way we want them to be.
I always kind of thought, how do you how do you unite people's strengths or superpowers with passions? So, but now you said something else that it was missing here: context. Because that's all good. People can have certain strengths. They have passion. But if it's the context, if you don't put them in a context or in a way or create that, you may want to think that's the way it's done, but that's not their path. And how to get to, because they're passionate to achieve it. They may have the ability to do it, but they still might not do it.
Well, that's a difficult question, because sometimes you don't realize how you get people in that context. But that context is everything about the unexpressed qualities. The people are not going to tell you, this is the way I work, this is where I perform, this is where I'm not performing. You need to have a bit of intuition and also test with people, because sometimes you may put them in the direction or help them go in a direction which is not theirs, and you realize quickly that it's not the way they perform. So I think there is a lot of intuition, trial and error, and also feel for the people. And sometimes you do mistakes because you don't understand, or you had a different way of or the two ways of seeing performance were not compatible. It happens also. So you need also to accept that you cannot nobody's a magician with people. So people have their own way to perform, and if you want them to perform in a different way, that's manipulation that you're trying to do for the best, but still it's manipulation and it will not work.
No, I think it's very important, and thank you for sharing that, because we all want something off the shelf sometimes and say, hey, you know what, let's apply it and work, but people are obviously living organisms, and they're complex, and but that's also part of the joy. I think it's to learn, to be curious, and to enjoy the process of decoding and finding how to unlock people's best performance, and in a way that you really interact and create those situations.
I think purpose is one of the key components. Purpose is the fuel for that, because if people are not motivated, if they don't, you're not going to tell them the path. You're not going to show them the way. You are going to tell them this is one way of doing it, and either they have the motivation and the understanding of the purpose and they go towards it, or it doesn't work. But you're not going to impose a path and impose a way to anybody. At least that's not my way of doing.
Great. Well, thank you. This is very helpful. And Denis, what is your vision for a better future? Like short term, and maybe more mid and long term.
Well, short term, a better future for me is the day when I will be able to meet with my team and spend some good time together, because we are building a team. We are assembling fantastic talents. We've not had the opportunity to meet with most of them. So short term, I just hope that we'll get that crisis behind us quickly, and that we'll find a way to exit the crisis constructively, maybe using the planet a bit differently, because we've made a lot of progress through the crisis. I think it would be a shame to go backwards after and go back to our bad habits, maybe flying less often. There are very simple things which we can do and make a change. And when I remember years back when we were saying, well, we need to travel that much, and no, sometimes I'm not saying that we don't need to travel to meet people and to exchange, but somehow it's a demonstration that we can do a lot over video conferences and so on. And then for the future, I hope that this awareness, this collective awareness about global warming and the planet, and what we can do as individuals and corporations is going to help us do something really impactful. And when we see today, I'm very hopeful, like always, on the fact that there is this awareness which we never saw before. The ESG goals of the big corporations are now taking over some profit goals. We can see it when we are talking about the green energy that the people are going to consume, industrial are going to consume. Sometimes they're putting that contribution to their ESG goals above anything else, and this is, for me, creating a lot of hope that things are going to be done differently, and you can see it in the valuation of the companies, in the stock prices. Companies which have a purpose and which really commit on changing the way they consume the planet are definitely going to gain more, and I strongly believe in that. And all of that is a combination of technology, leadership for change, and finance or capital power behind that. Because to me, the energy transition is can be catalyzed by the power of the capital that needs to be injected into that transition, and it is available. The only thing is that it needs to be correctly purposed.
Well, Denis, first of all, thank you for attempting to solve this problem and doing what you're doing first, because that's on its own. We know it's a major challenge, and that 3-degree temperature increase, in my mind, is at the top of our problems as a humanity. If we don't sort this out in the next 15-20 years, we may not be able to build rockets to go to Mars, as we say. And I think it's important to really get collectively, maybe more complex challenge than actually to build the rocket to explore the universe beyond. But together, I think can happen with a lot of good examples. And as you said, resilience, not giving up, not going backwards, uniting, and more great really initiatives and good stories to be spread around that we see the impact of the environment. So really sincerely thank you for sharing all these insights of your journey so far, and thank you for making the time joining today.
Thank you, Marian, for giving me the chance, for giving me this chance of sharing my hope and my belief in the transition, and we can live in a better world tomorrow.
Future is bright. Denis, thank you for giving that positivity and being a giver. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Marian. Have a great day. Thanks to all
you
who
too.
listened.